What is up, total excellence dudes? Thank you all for coming by the stream for tonight, as well as I have my special guest for tonight who created this amazing piece, and I just lucked out. Like, literally, close to the end of the stream, I got Solid Snake here. So, further ado, man, I mean, this dude is a talent. I hop onto his streams time to time again, and this dude is a fantastic artist that I recommend you guys keep a watch on because he even has a book coming up that you guys should check out. How are you doing, Joe?
Hey, doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man. Of course, just want to take the opportunity to, since I want to color this amazing piece that you did, and I'm going to get the physical piece on its way over here. I just want to take advantage and just get to know you and while we color this bad boy here.
Yeah, it's a good idea. One because it's I've been giving away these pieces of art, and it's I guess it's one. The next level is to like hang out with the person that gets it. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah, man. Definitely, dude. We got Coleman in the house. Good evening. Good evening, Coleman. How are you doing, dude?
yeah, what's up, Coleman? Never gets old seeing Coleman in the chat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
Coleman's the best. So I'm working on my book at the same time here while we're talking. Just stuff that I can do mindlessly. But yeah. How long you been coloring?
I've been calling for I would say 2 years now, and I think now with
Sweet,
this channel is going to be three. So I could confidently say three now.
sweet. No, that I mean, it's dude. Coloring's like a um, it's weird how satisfying it is because a lot of times it's almost like a way of networking because you usually color other people's stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
no, definitely, dude. And it's funny
yeah,
too. I would just grab like random art pieces I thought was cool, and next thing you know, like I would get follows by people who are actually working for DC or Marvel. I'm like,
nice.
oh, so it's
No, I love
it's
that.
a
Yeah,
it's another way of like how you said it's like another marketing tactic that I would be doing on the side. But yeah, man, it's just a lot of
hmm
fun. Just get to know like artists, especially like you. Just get to know them and just
for
dive
sure.
down deep.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, it works both ways. Yeah. So like getting people to color your work this is like uh, the biggest honor I can get. Like, not only obviously giving it away to somebody that, appreciates the art's one thing, but getting to see it colored and, it's just, I think it's like the foundation of comics. I guess there's not many mediums where there's so much collaboration, you know? Um, I mean, I guess video games and movies are giant teams, but like
Hmm.
for something so artistic and like really the most bare bones of art to be such a I don't know, like a collaborative effort is real personal, you know. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree, dude. And I think like it's like one of those things like I even talked to like my friends is like, can you just imagine back then if the internet was around where you can actually like get to see live streams of like the founders of Image and see how they make the comics and all this stuff and collaborate with each other and how they communicate with their teams or
yeah,
even just like, artist and colorist or artist and writer.
hmm yeah, it's brilliant because I mean, you kind of get a sense of what would be like because there are pros that do stream. I know you know several of them, but
Mhm.
I just imagine like the energy. I guess is what you're talking about, like the energy of that movement when they first started Image. Who knows what kind of like it would be like? It'd be so pirate radio style stuff that you know what I mean? Because like they're literally pulling giant chunks of the market to them, and obviously the big two are kind of pissed and and at the same time they'd be streaming. It'd be funny. Um,
And
so
just laugh at their faces.
essentially, yeah, that would be so cool to see in person. Because we'd have a front row to that, which would be crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just I'm just waiting at the point where like because Todd McFarlane has been teasing like, oh, like there should be like uh like a Netflix special or a TV series of like the Image founders and stuff, and
Hmm.
and he essentially says like honestly the main characters are gonna be Todd and Rob. It's like
Hmm.
essentially that because you got Rob who's the youngest of the whole group who, and I got to know more about Rob
Hmm.
and like the life that he has like before like he got big in comics because like he had like so many jobs and like he did construction, he did like busting tables and all this stuff, and while in the end of the day like he would freaking draw and
Yeah.
hopefully go to conventions and and his dad was I remember his dad was a pastor and something like that.
Right.
Can you just imagine just total weirdos that essentially like not not the type of people that you would see in the normal day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Typically, yeah. I feel like most of my knowledge of Rob is from Malin streams. You just like Malin always a lot of his history streams anyway. Whenever he goes back and talks about his early days, he gives a lot of tidbits that I just personally Rob is the one that I know the least about. I probably know more about um, definitely McFarlane and I probably know a decent amount Jim Lee as well, just because he's he had like a Wildstorm was pretty big, so
Yeah,
um,
definitely, man.
yeah, and his style is like blown out of kind of really widely accepted now, and but yeah, the other guys are really great too. It's just I feel like if I was going to throw it in there, I'd probably include Jim in there just because um, I don't know, maybe just because I know more of his story personally, and it seemed like a good one to tell as
Hmm.
well. But yeah, what else do you know that's interesting from like maybe from Rob's perspective, or any cool stories besides the construction startup?
Yeah, right. I've like it always like because you always see like artists like little things like Cable and his eye and stuff, and I when I got to like hear a few of his podcasts, like his father, like his like there was something wrong with his eye and stuff like that, and like at a
Hmm.
point where like he can no longer see. So I was like, holy crap. So I'm just thinking like, is this like a nod to like his father, like, essentially losing his eyesight, and he just put this on a new character of Cable,
Right.
and basically
It's
like it's just cool little things like that. Like I get excited and just you get like a an epiphany within moments like that.
Yeah, I dude, there's so many good stories, or just any a story like that, or the behind the scenes little Easter eggs you find out. For a lot of creators, I think it gives us a little bit of a. It's so relatable that like you're like, oh, I can see some things that are going to be told in my story, that are similar, and you never know what's going to be the thing that is so weird about your history that's going to be told down the road. But um, yeah, I really think that little things like that is what really makes the indie scene and like just indie comics in general like appealing. Is because it's not just the book, it's not just the progress. It's like the person almost, because they're you know they don't have all the the fame and the luxuries yet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so it's always cool to be there, even from my perspective, the way I like to look at my art journey. And I think the best way for young artists out there, if you're listening, to like view your own journey is to like look at it as a movie. Like you the just imagine the best part is coming. Like the climax of the movie is coming. It's not there yet. You're building to this thing that at one point you're gonna look back on. You're like, oh man, that was wild. What happened, and I think that's the way I like to look at it because I don't know. It's just that's how that's how I think it should be for your own mentality, because you're gonna then feel I don't know better about all the work you do and just get excited about everything. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, dude, I totally agree. Like, I like that mindset where, like, you got to see your life as a whether a movie or a book, because
Right.
it's never the end. It's like essentially like we know like what the end has happened with these co-founders and stuff, and maybe even any artists that we look up to. It's like
Hmm.
they're still alive, they're still around. We still have yet to come. I mean, like literally, like at least a few members of the co-founders of Image, like at least some of them are still making comics. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and it's just radical. They usually they'll just put the pencils down and then just go on with their day.
Their next thing. Yeah, it's cool that they're still grinding. Whatever they're. That's how you know they really love what they're doing. Which is cool. But yeah, I like even though not the huge guys from the old days. I like seeing, I like seeing a lot of the guys that are, you know, well-known pros now branching out and doing their own side stuff. Um, and I know I just got a book from Carl Kerschel. He's one of the, oddly enough, the book that got me into my origin story. I don't know if you want to know my origin story,
Yeah, go ahead,
but
dude.
dude, so like as a kid, I grew up like a little bit sheltered, I'd say, as far as like media. Like they were making sure I get the intentions from my parents just to not like completely I guess maybe overwhelm me or maybe just keep me from bad influences. Either way,
Mhm.
comic books like in that a lot of the 90s and even before that there was like a scare about a lot of the just certain types of looks and books and maybe my family were just like more prudish or something. But either way, I didn't read a lot of comics as a kid, so I
Mhm.
barely got any. I read strips. I read like Calvin and Hobbes and stuff, and so at least I have that. And I'm pretty sure I drew my own strips as a kid. Um, but I never got to read like the real deal stuff, like the way I would look at it. The ones
Right.
we like to talk about. Um, so my real origin story happened in college. I was down here. I moved to Florida and was going to school, and then every other week, I think, or maybe it could. I don't know how big of fans of comics my friends were in college, but they would go to comic shops, and it was most likely on Wednesdays. But if I had to think back, but I didn't. I couldn't tell you if I remember that at detail or not. But they'd
Right.
always ask me to go every time. So and and I would always not say no, but like it just didn't click for me or something, or like it just wasn't part of my culture at the time.
Right.
And every day I would say no, and then but one day I guess maybe a girl was going that time or so. I don't know what made me go the first time, and they're like,
Right.
yeah, let's just go. And I went to the shop, and I walk in, and I get that it's like it's that feeling that only comic shops and like bookstores can give you. It's this feeling like that like all the world's knowledge is in this like 12 square foot space. You know what I
Yeah. Right.
mean? It's that feeling
Yeah.
like you could spend all day there. Almost like that like wizards kind of library type of feel. Like you walk in there like, and I don't even have to leave here, and I'd be happy. And that's the feeling I got walking in. I was like, man, this is nuts. This is unreal. And anyway, long story short, it's already long, but
It's all
the
great,
first
man.
book I pulled off was a Robin book because it was like on like a, and this is Robin before they made him gay. This is Tim Drake. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is pre-gay Robin, Tim
Pre-gay.
Drake.
Okay.
Right. And so Tim Drake became one of my favorite characters and still is. On my back wall, there is over here, that's Robin. And
Hmm.
that's by Freddie Williams, who drew the book that I'm talking about. It
Oh,
was a run
nice.
that he did. And long to wrap it up, part of that book was also drawn by Carl Kerschel, this guy that also just started doing his own book that I brought up, first. Anyway, that's after I started reading that, I was like, man, this is. I didn't know it could be so cool. I didn't get that like from the few books I read as a kid, and then from there I just started reading all the classics, going back and not just the classics, the new stuff. I'm at that point, I think it was a little bit before DC did their definitely before New 52. But I think I caught Blackest Night with, and that's where I was introduced. I think to EVS and
Mm.
the rest,
Wow,
But
that's pretty cool.
yeah, I don't know like how it happens for everybody else, but like it wasn't that it was like a simultaneously I saw the book, liked seeing all the art and everything, but it pushed me not only to read but to make like almost instantly. It was like, oh, there's no doubt in my mind I'm going to try to make stuff like this. Um, so yeah, since then I've kind of connected with Freddie Williams, and I actually showed him my book long time ago. When I have these test pages that, whenever I'm done with the whole story of my book, Star Circuit,
Hmm.
whenever I'm done, I'm going to release these original test pages. So I did like 3 test pages before I started the real book.
Oh
And these
wow.
pages were just to see if I could do it. And
Hmm.
I'm going to save it for the very end. It's going to be like a little teaser or a little bit of an extra for the full volume whenever I'm complete with the story. But man, oh, even just the flat colors, this is starting to look awesome.
Thank you, man.
Sweet. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's. Do you have a weird origin story, or you've been reading comics since you remember, or what?
I had yeah, I do have a weird origin story. My parents like I don't know. I think it's like every parent, but like with my parents, like they're trying to figure me out. Like, okay, what does this kid like? You know, so
Right.
they'll just throw stuff at me, and like, um, I remember my dad would give me, what was it? He gave me Superboy, and it was around the time when again, like I was a kid,
Hmm.
and I wasn't self aware, but I know I love Superman, and I wasn't aware that it was around the time where they basically killed him. you know
Yeah.
so it was a good thing I did not know that.
Right.
But so I remember like it was like Superboy, and I remember like what really stood out to me was like the cutout of like when you open the cover, and then there was like the cutout of like his a Superman logo, and
Yeah.
then it was like the back of the jacket, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Essentially, like I hated reading in my early
Hmm.
childhood. I hated reading, but when I was looking at the comic book, like I already had an idea like what was going on.
Mm.
Just that's how good the illustration was. Is like even
Right.
if as a kid, like even though I hated reading, like I had an idea because how the artist illustrated the book, and like I knew like okay, like Superman is no longer around because they basically made a tribute of him
Hmm.
as a statue. So essentially, he's no longer around, and all this stuff, and and I got into like doing art and stuff. Like I was really into like cartoons and all that fun stuff. And I would have a buddy of mine from high school where we would just draw cartoons and make gags and all this stuff, and
Like a
just not
team.
take it exactly like a
Yeah.
tag team, and
Yeah.
just not really like taking it seriously, but I always loved cartoons, and just thinking of being a cartoonist for like something big like Disney or anything like that.
Hmm.
And you know
Yeah.
essentially like I studied graphic design, and fast forward from graphic design, like I was trying to learn how to do video games because
Hmm.
video games was the thing that you know I really enjoyed, and I tried learning. Um, and I was so hard headed trying to like learn a skill where I just can't. It just doesn't click with me. Just learning
Hmm.
programming, just programming itself. Like I remember how frustrated I just laughed looking back at it, and like I remember it was Unity. I was following a Unity tutorial, right, and
Hmm.
the code works because I make sure that the dates of these tutorials were on par because usually with code, like depending on like the code that they use within the tutorial, the date they made it,
Hmm.
sometimes they don't work.
Mm.
So I made sure that this works, and it worked. So I'm like, okay, awesome. So literally the next day when I boot up the game that I was trying to make, I
Mhm.
can't play it no more because the code was no good. And I'm like, oh my god, I hate this. It's like,
Yeah,
it's so
I know the
frustrating.
feeling because I went to school for a CG. Well, I actually I wanted to do program, or not programming, but like game design in the beginning as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, for a little bit. But I feel I feel the license code issue that you that you had. Um, yeah, uh, for me, yeah, the whole technicality of everything because I went to school for CG and like for computer animation is uh, in general what they call it. And then
Hmm.
so for that, it just kind of didn't work out just because not that I graduated and I still use it today, but it's just something I don't enjoy as much as like I said. At some point in college, I went to the comic shop, and then from there on, I taught myself how to draw. I didn't draw anything before that really. I
Really?
drew, yeah, I barely drew before I went to college. So
Wow.
yeah, that's I feel like, but at the same time, I when I look back on, it, I'm like that's not that late. For a lot of people,
Hmm.
um, but it does kind of in some way set you back because like you see these young guys that if you start in high school it's a game changer because you have like so much momentum and like there's so much time where you don't have to pay bills and you can just like get good. You have all these years just to get good, not have to worry about being good yet. um, and so I'm a little jealous of that aspect of not starting
Right.
early. But yeah, besides that, yeah. um, I started like at 20 when I was out of college, 2021 or so. That's when I started drawing.
Wow, man. I'm telling you, man, that's fantastic, dude. For someone that starts that young, I mean, within, even though it's people consider it late, but still, man, like you picked up that pencil pretty quick. Like how are you? Is it because of college, like how you studied it, or like you kind of like just picked up the pencil and
Hmm.
you just like how I say self taught yourself how
I
to
did,
do it.
but it's crazy, man. It's like everybody's got their own way, and when we're talking about I at this time it's only 2008, so YouTube is not really a thing yet. It's there,
Right.
but there's really no use for actual educational stuff there. It's like cat videos and like game reviews and stuff. It's it was used just as like a an addition to articles and stuff like that. Just random videos for news and cat videos. But so there wasn't really like an online thing of like teach yourself how to draw, kind of thing. If you wanted to
Hmm.
teach yourself, you had to figure out what to do. And I guarantee, I don't know. I debated way later if I would go back to school for art, but I think you can
Hmm.
do it fine without going to school. It's just without the whole uh, school system and without YouTube and internet being what it is today. Like today,
Yeah.
there is no need for you to like really go to school for art. You can learn everything online. Um, and I'd argue you can almost learn. I think a few professional like people in the industry like put together a bunch of collection of books and whatnot. You can teach yourself how to draw and like be an artist for like 5 grand instead of and that would include going to like a small community college just for a few figure drawing classes and like things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you don't have to spend 30K or whatever it is to go to like a real
Right.
college. You know,
I wish I knew that
yeah,
when I
same. Like
studied graphic design. But
yeah,
yeah, no, dude. Yeah, I was honestly like how I even got into like coloring and stuff like that. And it was a journey too. It's like I'm trying to get back into drawing again. I think I was trying to get back to drawing when I was
yeah,
25 and I was just figuring out like okay, like I want to do art. Graphic design is stupid competitive, so it's like I got to figure out like was essentially something that I can reward myself. That's something that's physical because
mhm,
video games is not working out for me.
yeah.
So
It's a hard
so
thing. Yeah.
so that was a tough pill to swallow. So
Did
um,
you? What did you try? What were you trying to play at the time?
I was trying to make like a 2D game,
Oh,
like
okay.
something simple, but then I would try to experiment with like I even buy templates too, just to like just to make the whole thing so fast with Unity's, because I just felt like Unity was such a great engine at the time now, due
Mhm.
to the poor timing of what they're doing now. But essentially, around that time, it was a great engine. Like the community was great. Like like there was tutorials for everything for Unity, and
Right.
so I just felt like Unity was a great engine to pick, and also the asset store. So people are always updating the asset store, so that way you're up to date whenever you update the game engine.
Hmm.
So it's just great. It's just it's again it's just a huge learning curve that like I just dove into something that um that essentially like it was just overwhelming for one person to do, let
Yeah,
alone
there's a
just trying to
lot to it.
learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot to it.
Yeah. There is that aspect of going to school instead of teaching yourself, where like if you have a question in school, you can immediately get it answered and probably get a good answer. Whereas if you're teaching yourself, it takes a little bit to find the answer. Takes and sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes it's like just some weird bug, or like you know um, you're just not getting the right answer you need. But I get what you're saying. There's like that feeling that there's just too much going on. You know.
Yeah, man. And what got you? I know that you say you went to the comic book store, but what essentially made you be like, hey, you know what? I actually want to do comics. Like, I want people to read my story.
Hmm. That's interesting. Well, I originally just wanted to draw, and so I
Okay.
saw the art, and I saw Freddie Williams. Freddie Williams, I don't know if you know this, wrote a book about digitally drawing comics, and so that's
Okay.
kind of the one-two punch. Um,
Wow. Okay. Great.
before I started writing, this was the one-two punch, which was reading his Robin book and seeing how badass that was, and then I saw him, do write this book about how he pretty much made it. He like because it came out. It was like that kind of timing where he released it just like 6 months before,
Hmm.
and also released the book. So it was like cool to see all the techniques he used to make the book and then have the book. So it was like
Mm.
this very, he showed me that it was like, it was possible. Um, and yeah, I started just trying to draw different little things. And then I just got better and better. And I think I blame some of my success on like delusion. I, I just have that kind of personality that I can blind myself um, a little bit with just like uh, I don't know. So I say delusion because like when I look at my work, I saw it with like rose-colored glasses, where a lot of people don't see that. So a lot of people see all the imperfections and don't give them the credit that is due. And so what you really need in the beginning is you need to create your own good feedback.
Mhm.
Like anytime you try something new, the only difference between you and somebody else is like if you want to keep going, you got to find a way to keep going. And sometimes that just is like a delusional mindset uh, of like um, thinking your work is good enough and you enjoy it. But yes, that was there. But the whole writing my own book thing was way later. I drew from 2011 to, and in 2011 I said to myself, I want to be a pro by 30. And
Wow.
at the time I was 20, 21, and I was like, I want to be a pro by 30. And that was not a hard ask because a lot of people take way shorter and get to that status. However, it's a different world today. Like there is a lot of competition, and you know, I feel like the more it went into the 20, 14, 15, 16, it started getting crazier, and all the political stuff happened in comics. Nobody was buying the same way. Nobody was looking for new artists in the same way.
Hmm.
Um, and to me, I was like, man, I don't. At some point, I was like, I'm getting pretty good enough where when I'd go to shows, I'd get critiques by big name people like Capullo
Wow.
and like Jimenez and um, Freddie Williams, obviously, and other guys that I just and they would say, "Oh, your stuff is better than when I first started." And when they told me that, then I was like, "Okay, what's the difference here?" You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
if that's the
Hmm.
case, if if they're just not blowing smoke up my ass, I don't know like what else to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Like if that's the truth, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, does that mean I just keep grinding and like and so I think at that point I was like, I'm gonna try to write something because it was either that or keep making samples, keep grinding, and just it was more of the same. I was like, why am I trying to make samples of people's IPs? You know what I mean? Not my characters, and
Mm.
all for them to be like, no, you can't work on it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
was like, I
definitely, man.
literally spend all weekend on somebody else's character, all for later on be like, oh, it's really good, but you know, it's not our style or it's not what we want or you're not there
Exactly.
yet. Um, I don't. I believe that I wasn't good enough in the way like to get the job out there that you want. You have to be beyond good. You have to be so beyond good that like it's not even a question why they shouldn't hire you. And that's like how good you need to be today in a lot of different like industries. Um, and so that's a good and bad thing. It means that a lot of the quality art that we see out there is generally pretty consistent. The downside is you have to be really good to get the job. Um, anyway, I started writing
Mhm.
my book in 2017, 2016, 2017. Right after the last review I got,
Mhm.
or critique by somebody, and they said I was good, and I even got a DC portfolio review, and they're like, "Yeah, it's really good. We're just not taking anybody." You're like, "Okay, so I don't know what to do now. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?" Yeah, um,
Wow.
yeah. After that, I started writing, but I wasn't a writer. I never. It's one of those things where you kind of set the pace for your life. Like, if you just don't believe you're a writer, then you don't try to write. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I
Right.
guess early in life, no one like gave me that I don't know extra feedback where you're like, oh, you're you're good at or it's there just wasn't that esteem of you got a natural thing going on with this writing thing, and that just wasn't me. So I never really wrote creatively um,
Hmm.
in a deeper way. So this was really my first endeavor, and so I spent a year and a half trying to write something and just learning, reading books. I read about 10 books on writing. And at some point, I was like, oh, I'm ready to give this a shot. And
Hmm.
I started waking up at 4 in the morning
Wow.
before I go to work. And for 2 hours before work, I would, in a haze. I think what happened was that like I was in such a haze from being woken up early that I couldn't be so critical on myself. Like, uh, I just ended up being in a position where I couldn't tell myself it was crap. Um, and over time, I would revise and like rewrite and do all the tools. And it was a fun time. I would put on new wave, kind of like synth wave music because I'm writing this like sci-fi book, and
Nice.
I would get in this crazy mood, like this mood of nothing can kind of stop me kind of mood. Like every morning, it was almost like I was creating the. It wasn't just creating like the comic. I was like creating like this um, like everything around it, like the what people would talk about later on. It's what it felt like.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, that's what I did, and eventually came up with something that was something I liked. And yeah, the rest is history. I did my first issue, and I'm working on the second chapter currently.
Nice, dude. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's for anybody who out there doesn't know, maybe I'll give a little pitch. Um,
Go ahead.
real quick. I don't know. Do you have any? Because I said a lot there. Did you have anything like that? came up.
Um, s- I think essentially, like, once you give it the pitch, my next question is like what gave you the influence or inspiration to be like, hey, you know what? Like, let's do a cyberpunk esque motorcycle type of book.
That dives into like I really want to this subject I really want to talk about, and
Hmm.
so yeah, I'll definitely give a little bit of insight after I give a little pitch here. But yeah, the that subject's it's a big one, and I kind of want to talk about it on other streams too, and I probably will because I'm a big fan of this one style of writing, and it delves into why I picked cyberpunk in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so I'm actually redoing my website, and so for that reason, I made a totally new pitch, and I'll read it to you because it's right
Nice.
now it's kind of I think it's pretty close there. So Star Circuit, that's the title of this book. It's a cyberpunk sci-fi graphic novel that's going to be kind of split up into like a mini series of like 8 chapters. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, so the pitch is in the far future, technology has progressed to a point where human labor is irrelevant. Culture now revolves around entertainment and particularly high speed motorcycle racing. It's so extreme that only androids are capable of competing now.
Wow.
And pretty much 80 years of human attempts like have only ended in like tragic accidents and bad PR. But even seeing all that, our main character Atlas is obsessed. After his family was ripped apart in childhood by the very tech that sustains society, the androids. The only thing that gets him through the day is kind of this delusion of maybe someone racing in the Star Circuit and proving the world wrong.
Mm.
So the story kicks off when a long lost racing legend becomes cybernetically linked with his mind. And together they start to finally learn what it takes to do this impossible race.
Wow. That's a fantastic pitch.
Thanks. It's been refined and refined because I guess that's what happens when you're trying to like make it work for the website. I'm trying to find the most descriptive. It's obviously not short, but I think it's hitting all the points I want it to.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, man. Like, I don't even need to like ask questions about like the story and stuff because I mean you just answered all the questions that essentially that's what you want to do for your pitch is like it's like yeah maybe it could be a little long but at that point like as long as it was entertaining which it was
Hmm.
I was already dove deep into it and like already like picturing it in my head is like
Nice.
you can honestly can get away with it.
Mm. I dig it. You're. I've not said that to anyone yet. So, or this pitch. So you're the first one I've given this pitch
Oh,
to.
awesome.
Because, like I said, it's new. My old pitch is pretty similar, but this one's more streamlined. It's more. Um, I think it's more. It's got a nice mix of world building and a personal touch with the character. Um, and a few descriptive words that I like. I used to really start off with it, and I think Pete Samedi, I don't know if you know the publisher of Alterna
Hmm.
Comics, but
Yeah.
he recently like said something that I took to heart, which is like you shouldn't go if you're trying to pitch your book, don't go about it by saying it's a mix of this and that, and like it's a
Yeah,
you
dude,
know
I
it's
totally agree.
so yeah, I used to in the beginning, but I did it because it somehow helps with at least someone of that audience will be like, okay, I like that, and maybe they might pay attention more. But anyway, I've learned better since. But it's very
Hmm.
much like my influences. I guess this goes into your next the question you asked afterward
Yeah.
about why cyberpunk. Well, one, I really dig cyberpunk. I'm a big fan of Akira. I'm a big fan of Blade Runner, and even this old video game called F Zero. Um,
Oh
I
my
don't know
god.
if you've ever
Yeah,
played that.
I've played it, dude. My god, man. Some things you cannot let have an eight like a 6-year-old play. My god, man. It's
Yeah,
I you had early childhood anxiety once you play that game. My
for
god, man.
sure.
But it was a fun game, I'll tell you that much.
And it's wild because there's not many games that had that kind of gigantic race feel because they add so much. There's so many participants in each race. It was like 30
Hmm.
or whatever, and I think
Right.
they raised the stakes in later games to like 60 or 100 like racers in the same race, and it just
Holy
felt like
crap, dude.
it felt nuts. And yeah, not only that, but I didn't own the game, so it was like a neighbor or a friend that had the game, and so I think I blame because I didn't own the game, like my imagination like kicked to next gear after like the time between playing the game and the next time I played the game, I'd be imagining stuff like I'd be thinking up stories or like just imagining like because as a kid it's such a different thing. It's like as a kid you're
Yeah.
like it feels real almost. You're like as a kid it's like this is some sort of real sci-fi world in this piece of plastic, you know,
Hmm.
on the screen. And to me, it blew my mind. But anyway, I think that's part of the reason why I like Cyberpunk. Um, but the big reason why I picked that as the basis for like where I was going to go with the story, I'm a big someone to look up, and I'm kind of a follower of this style of writing and this approach to writing. His name's Brian McDonald, and
Hmm.
he bases everything off of theme. And it's not only that a lot of writers base their stories around theme, but
Hmm.
it's not really that's not necessarily what he focuses on. The big focus is he writes additively through themes. So a lot of people, when people write books, they'll write in this way. They'll think of a bunch of brainstorms and they'll think of all the cool characters they want to have in the book and they'll think of all the situations and then they'll go through there and be like, all right, this one doesn't work. This doesn't feel like a good scene. And they'll start subtractively pulling out the things they don't like.
Hmm.
Brian McDonald goes about it the opposite way, and this is the way I like to write. It's almost like you pick the theme and then you base everything off the theme. Not like including so you have, let's just say you have the theme of I'm scared of being alone. Say that's your theme. Like I'm
Okay.
scared of being alone. From there you're like, "Oh, what's the genre that will show that theme the best?" Oh, it could be horror, it could be sci-fi in space, it could be, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
everything is derived from the theme from that point, and you only add. You never subtract because there's nothing to subtract from. So you're gonna pick the essentially the setting, the characters, all of it. It pretty much comes back to this theme, or the question of the thing I'm about to add to the story. Does it fit the theme or does it not? If it does, you keep it. If it doesn't, you throw it away.
Hmm.
And that's how I like to write because I'm a as an artist I'm just really I don't know, dude. Like I'm kind of like I feel like I'm really left brained. Like I'm very structural, and that's kind of how I like doing things. Like I probably could have easily been an accountant as much as an artist.
Hmm.
I feel like
Right.
that kind of left brainy kind ofness. And so anytime I get to add structure and like rules and ways of doing things, I do.
Hmm.
So man, this is looking bad ass, dude.
Thank you
So
so
good,
much, man. Yeah, no, I
so good.
love coloring too. It's like you have no idea. Every time like I would do like the
Oh, the only thing
flatting
I
is
noticed.
the flatting part is always like the excruciating part, and I always feel bad like because like you be watching me just doing the boring part, which is flatting, but once the flatting part is basically done. Now the fun part is basically doing shadows and highlights, and I'm doing that. I'm doing shadows and highlights of doing flats, and then I'll just create another layer where now I'm gonna do like a brush shadow and a brush highlights just to like make it even pop even more.
Yeah, dude, it's something just amazing about. I don't people that don't like comic art. I just don't get.
Yeah, right.
I don't get it. It's this like when it's done right, when you have some good line art and like this combo of simple but like really popping colors, and even if it's not simple colors, some complicated colors can work too. But my personal favorite is like this nice in between, not perfectly flat, but like has some highlights, has some shadows, has some pop,
Hmm.
yeah, some glow or whatever you need, and yeah, that's my favorite. But I was gonna say in the back of his on his headband, I think there was a section of of the headband that is not headband, or that middle piece, that middle little section is background, I believe. I
Oh, his
think.
background.
Yeah, that like because it's like the Ninja Turtle kind of thing, right? Where it's like
Right.
two strips of cloth coming around. You could
Hmm.
interpret it any way you want, but that I think that was my intention to have the middle section there be white or background. Yeah, um, I didn't notice it till now. But yeah, do whatever you want. If it doesn't look, you can try it. If it looks good, if it doesn't, or
Right.
do
Right.
whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter
Gotcha.
to me. Um, but yeah, totally right there. The comic art is just incredible to see happen. Especially when because certain styles mix with other certain styles, like certain line art mix better with certain colors and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, are you a writer or do you just for now just like doing all purely visual stuff?
Um. Yeah, I've done my studies on writing when I was
Mm,
like studying video game work and stuff like that because I was like self-teaching myself how to do video games. So essentially like I had an idea and even all the other books I've read that was teaching me how to do storytelling and stuff like it's basically the same beat. It's just different drums that you're playing the it's like okay with video games like all right like you got a story but now you got to create obstacles and level design
right.
to have the player sit down and be involved in the story until you finish,
Hmm.
which I feel like is essentially the same thing whenever like you create a comic. It's like it's not only like how good the story is, like how is the product? How is it like whenever you grab the book, like do you feel like you're part of that world not only whenever you see the art and the story and the colors, however the book is, like how is the material that you're holding, you know? So I
Right.
feel like it just has a unique way of like experiencing in a way. And another way it's the same thing with cinema too, is like is there's just a unique way of like the human mind, like how they enjoy certain things and certain aspects and why they just keep coming back for that certain
Yeah.
thing.
Let's see here. Yeah, you're totally right. Totally right. I feel like I don't know with a lot of how comics are like the paper all matters, like the presentation. But I think the biggest thing for me is what you first said was the like what really do you feel when you like see anything about the art or like what really do you have this wholesome kind of holistic feeling about the universe? That's how like I'm wearing Fiendish right now. Fiendish's book is has that thing. That's what I like most about Fiendish's world is just like it's cohesive. It's like you can't look at any part of the promo or the cover or the interior or read it and not think it's like a real place somewhere, in the ether. And I guess that's the goal. I think that's what I aim to do with my book too. I put a lot of effort in like storytelling in the background.
Hmm.
My buddy Jeremy tells me a lot that we both aim for this thing where in the background, that's where the story is kind of told. That a lot of people like to put in captions. A lot of people like to put it in like these subtle side conversations. But I just prefer to put it like chilling in the background. You know what I mean? There's no need to explain how androids work because if you pay attention to the background, you'll start to get the gist of how they work, or just like how they're used in society. And that's the stuff that I try to do. Um,
Hmm.
is put these little elements in the background that like not only it's a 1-2 punch. You get a little bit of the backstory and you also get a little bit of this kind of world building cohesiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. Yeah, no, it's the same. I totally agree, dude. There's certain aspects in storytelling where you don't need to explain everything. You don't need to do an info dump on everything. Like essentially, like zombies. Is
Yeah.
like you you just know like it's bad when you see someone that's half dead and you see flies flying around them
Yeah.
and they're just eating flesh. Now let's say if you want to go more deep into it, essentially like I've found this out like well, not recently, but maybe a year ago,
Hmm.
that essentially the reason why like the idea and the concept of zombies is basically people are doing basically doing day-to-day things that they do not like, they do not enjoy, they hate it, they
Hmm.
basically hate it, and they just, they just drift through life, and essentially like, they're just walking in life until like, they just realize, wow, like I'm already in my deathbed.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, that
Some people call
that
it
that
sheeple. Yeah.
it's just crazy, dude.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of that out there for sure. For me, yeah, I try to like avoid. I feel like who told me this. I try to avoid the blur in life. Whenever things start blurring out, you're like, I don't know where the week went. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, yeah, dude.
Whenever it feels like I don't know where the week went, as you know something's a little bit off, or just like you maybe you're grinding work and maybe that's why. But a lot of times, if you're losing track of time, it probably means you're watching one too many TV shows, or like you probably should go hang out with friends for a little bit, or you know what I mean. Um,
Hmm.
it can easily it pretty much means to break it up, go live a little bit more. And I definitely fall into that kind of trap a lot too, where it just like this blur happens sometimes. The repetition of life gets at you, and you probably should step away and go do something else.
Yeah,
Mm,
no, I agree, man. It's,
for sure.
you just get lost, and
Yep.
you basically get lost. But yeah, man. Um, I don't know. So what's your favorite? Um, I guess what's your favorite process when you were developing your book?
Oh man, it's changed now because like I said in the beginning, I would wake up early to write. I couldn't draw early that morning in the mornings. Like I don't have enough. It almost worked against me. Like if you're waking up early, like I didn't have the. I didn't have like I ended up being lazy in the morning. Like I'd be like
Okay.
in the way like not lazy where I wouldn't do it at all, but like I wouldn't put my all into the drawing. I would be like,
Hmm.
oh, this is good enough. Like my brain didn't accept it.
Right.
And so I would have to draw late at night or just during the day. And so my process now is kind of like in the midst of whatever I'm doing. Uh, I try to find a good chunk of time and just only do that. I guess, are you looking for timing wise or other things like just how I'm doing it?
Just how you're doing it.
Okay. Um, so right now I used to do it traditionally. Now I'm doing it digitally. So I'll do my layouts. I have I usually do my layouts and thumbnails. Well, I do my thumbnails, which are like the little tiny drawings of each page. I do that on paper. The way I write is writing on index cards, and there's another book called Save the Cat. If you're into stories, go read that one. But in that book, they introduce this way that screenwriters kind of write things, which is kind of on index cards, putting each scene on an index card. And that
Hmm.
way, it's like becomes like a comic book, and that's the way I like it because now you have all these index cards, and I can lay them out like panels almost. I can be like, now I can rearrange where the scene should go. Where can I put where's the best combination of where the scenes go? Um, and once I have the basis of all the scenes, I do my thumbnails on paper, and then do a digital layout, which is usually pretty rough, and then I do a final pencil kind of thing, and then I don't do inks. I just do this I try to mimic digitally what pencils look like, and because I like that look, I think that's one of my favorite looks out there in comics.
Hmm.
It's not. It's very newer. It's more of a new age kind of look. I just personally like it. I really do like the old school inking and how that looks too. Like if you go look at, some of my favorite artists that do that style is like Mazzucchelli, who did Batman Year One. Um, Older guy, like Gibbons from Watchmen, like all those that pure inking kind of brush type of look, I really like. But personally, I just try to keep it with pencils. That's kind of what I like. And yeah, from there, I used to do some colors as well, and I colored my first book, but I've kind of given that job away to another colorist and to save some time.
Nice. Yeah, for the first book or for the next one that you're working on now?
Yeah, I can show you now. Whenever you're, I have my pre-campaign. I'll show you that way you
Oh,
can
okay. Yeah,
see.
definitely,
But yeah,
dude.
no worries. But yeah, my first book I colored myself, and
Nice.
I never really wanted to color, but just because I couldn't find someone that cared enough about all the details that I cared about, and that's just
Hmm.
not how. It's not really how everything works in comic coloring. Like, um, it's a job too. So like, I would have to pay almost double probably to get this kind of detail I wanted.
Right.
Um, and since then, I've kind of adjusted. And either way, I taught myself how to color. I actually had
Hmm.
to have a how to color tutorial on my YouTube channel. That it's not even that special. I would say I talk about normal things. All the things you're doing here,
Hmm.
essentially. Maybe a few different tips and tricks that maybe you're not doing, but for the most part, coloring's coloring. I just talk about my approach and like how I set things up, but I learned all that because I had to color my own book. I never intended to.
Right.
I really, but yeah, I've since then switched off of that, and I have a colorist that's doing chapter two, which is a lot of pages. My first book is only 32, which I'm selling on my website, but um, it's only the variant cover, which is kind of cool as well because it won't come back to the next campaign. It's once it runs out of inventory, I'm not putting it back on the campaign.
Yeah, no, it's gone forever,
Yeah, it's gone
essentially.
forever. So that's always a good thing to like try to incentivize. But um, yeah, you can buy that on the website. The second book's 70 or so pages, so it's going to be a big chunk. And that's kind of what I wanted. And I'm so excited for this second chapter, dude. I gave you the pitch, but the second book is just
Hmm.
I with the first book I have to with like the first intro of any story you have to like intro all the characters and you have to like give everybody this kind of punchy type of situation that you remember the character, and as the story keeps going, at least in my story, and I think a lot of people's stories, you get to really show what each character is really about, and you get to show how the world works even more, and just like you know, I got to dabble with the first book. With the second book, it's all laid out for you, um, which is sweet. And
Nice.
yeah, I just I'm putting the characters through the ringer, at least the main character, and they'll all come to their I don't know this culmination of excitement and everything. But the main character
Hmm.
for sure is being put through the ringer. I tried my best to put him in a situation where I don't even believe he's going to be able to get out of this. Like what I
Wow.
wrote, I don't like. If I got amnesia and I started reading the script, I would probably think by before the climax, like how is it possible that this is gonna go any other way than death or whatever? Like, I,
Yeah.
it's just not gonna end well for this main character. But that's how I like to see stories. I like to see stories in this like really high stakes environment.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude.
This is looking great. Definitely add in like some good vibes with these color.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I don't know. It just clicks for me. I don't know. I guess because since I've studied graphic design in college,
Uh-huh.
it's like I remember too as a part of it was part of my comic book journey. Is like okay, like art is taking a little longer than I expect it to be. So
Yeah.
what is this something that could click in my head? And I was watching a stream from EVS. They
Uh-huh.
was saying like, oh, the thing that people want the most are two things: a colorist and a letterer. So I'm like, okay, I I can definitely do coloring because lettering I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate I absolutely hate it. And the reason why is that I one time did this company that for a booklet and stuff, and I had to use InDesign, which
Uh-huh.
essentially is like you just give like high definition fonts, so that way the freaking fonts doesn't look blurry once it gets printed in the printer and
Yeah.
whatnot. So, but I just felt so restricted. It was just mind boggling. Like I just hated the whole process. So the mere
I
fact
get
that
it.
the mere fact like there was a scapegoat between the colorist and lettering. I'm choosing coloring, bro, and
Yeah.
it's something that you know it's something that is one thing that you don't need to spend too much time on. Is like depending on who the artist that you got. Like
Okay.
I got like like a, I lucked out with the Flock, which is basically like an all ages book,
Hmm.
and essentially what the creator wants, he wants like flat colors, basically like a cartoon.
Yeah.
So it was basically a great first step for me to have like my first coloring gig
Yeah.
while I was doing coloring streams. So, you know, basically my journey of learning how to do coloring, essentially.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's good though. Like sometimes the universe lines up that way.
Yeah, right.
You're just like, yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely cool that that happened for you. It's definitely, I've had some weird things where like, man, like if like early on in my career, if I got this hard job thrown at me in the beginning, I would have been dead. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do it, and it would kill my self esteem, or but yeah. Oh, I see people jumping in. Coleman is
Oh shoot.
saying it looks great, man.
Thank you so much, Cole, man. Oh, we
Nice.
got Firestorm R76, bro. You are the king. You are too kind, man. You are too kind, my friend. We got Wither Jockey. Sup? Is he supposed to be Solid Snake? Yeah, that is Solid Snake.
Yeah, dude,
We got
it's
Jetto
coming together.
Fire in the house.
Sandman, huh? I the only Sandman I know, I don't think it looks like that. I don't know. Is there I'm
No,
not sure if there's another Sandman. uh,
no, it's like what was it? The last two people were basically my friends since like one in middle school
uh-huh.
and seventh grade, the other one eighth grade in high school. So they're just coming in for support.
Oh, nice, dude. Hell yeah. Is he saying Sandman from Metallica or something?
No, no, it's just a buddy
Okay,
of ours. It's like a
sweet.
nickname that we gave. Oh my god, what a difference!
Nice.
Just using brushes, man.
Yeah, you got a
Now it
little
looks
brush.
professional, you know.
Yeah, you got to add a little bit. Dude, but even like, I like how you put it on separate layers because I almost not that I prefer, I like seeing the flat colors too. Like
Hmm.
adding the brush and like, it makes it look cool because it's more real, more like realism, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Um, but yeah, something is nice about flat colors, and it's cool that you got to do a book like that too.
You know, dude. I just love doing flat colors because it just takes me back of like like cartoons and stuff. I love cartoons, dude. It's like now I don't really much watch cartoons that much anymore. Because of like I just don't know. Maybe it's just my taste like has changed so much and I don't know. I just feel like there's not a lot of like new material that I they just keep like rebooting and recycling things that I've grown up as a child and
Yeah.
whether so it's like no, it's not that fun no more.
I feel you. I feel you, man. Yeah, coloring is like it's weird how it's its own thing, especially for comic books. But I really dig how it just you can do so many different styles and it'll all come out a little bit different.
Hmm.
And I like the combos. Like it's like almost collecting trading cards. You're like, let me let me
Yeah,
combine
right.
this artist and see what we get. It'll be a good result. Uh,
Definitely, dude.
Super cool. Let me see here. I gotta probably pop off, but I'm gonna try to grab my screen here and just to share my Indiegogo
Yeah, no
for a
problem,
sign
dude.
up
Yeah, yeah.
page. Let me see if I can pull that up. Okay, that's that. Sweet.
Awesome, dude.
So yeah, this is book two. A lot of people were making fun of that I didn't have like a subtitle for my chapter two, so I think I'm going to come up with one, but
Hmm.
I'll reveal that at launch potentially. The cool part about this time around, I found out that it's not that hard to do giveaway books. So 25% of people who sign up now and then eventually buy on day one to get the second book, which will also have bundles for book one and two on the campaign,
Nice.
you'll get your book free. You get 25% chance. So 25% chance exactly. I'll be doing a raffle for 25% of you guys who sign up. You get it book free. It's awesome. But like I said, it's 72 pages of cyberpunk. Like we said before, in this, we're in a world where androids are now the pinnacle of racing and they dominate. And so humans don't stand a chance. So in this world, there's this one street racer that he's got it. He's got ideas that it's possible. However, um, he's kind of getting caught up in this kind of cyberpunk thing where something's syncing with his circuits because everybody's kind
Hmm.
of got like a brain chip in this future, and
Nice.
these cyber ninjas have kind of got a lock on the signal that it's putting out. And so that's kind of how the second chapter starts, where these kind of ninjas who Rob Willis has drawn on the variant cover here. Um, and yeah, it's a killer freaking book. It's going to be I think it's going to be. It already is the best work that I've done. Like all my art is way better than whatever it's been previously.
Hmm.
Also, like I said, I got a new colorist. So Marcos Martins is my colorist, and I have him
Nice.
doing this kind of cell shaded ish type of thing. Um, and yeah, it's just fun. It's real
Yeah,
fun
no, I did.
to.
Wow. Yeah, no, I dig it, dude. That looks fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a fan of what he's doing. We go back and forth, and we have this kind of relationship where I'm pretty picky, and I go back and forth with him, and I'll be like, a little bit more here, a little bit less there, which I think eventually will just iron out. You know, he's got a lot of great instincts, and so that's why I like using him. But
Hmm.
either way, if you want, I can play the trailer, or actually, I gotta play the click it again if we want to do that.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to I gotta re put it up because I didn't click the main thing.
Hmm.
You know what you gotta click? You gotta click the audio.
Oh yeah, there you
The
go.
audio click, dude. It's been a while. It's been a while, man.
It's all good, man. It's always that,
Okay.
and sometimes it's not even that. It's like sometimes it's like the web browser that you're using that won't allow you to, was it do audio share?
Yeah.
And that to me was like wacky. I'm like, what?
I know. Okay, so I think I got it now.
All right.
Okay, so I've always heard I'm gonna lower my volume, but I've heard it's allowed. Maybe not. Maybe it's only on Streamyard. Who knows? It might not be loud. Let's just play it here. Sweet.
Wow, dude, I love the music. I did not expect the freaking like drop and then the scream and the mix. I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah, I in the beginning I used to do for the first book I was really doing a lot of synthwave stuff, and I think it's cool to do because it naturally fits the futuristic kind of world. But
Right.
I like the frickin' I like the heavy stuff. So I think it just fits the vibe of what this chapter two is in particular. It's like it's mostly action and it's mostly like insane stuff happening, and so
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe that I want to give. Even though it doesn't show a ton of crazy things in the images, it will eventually be there at launch, and
Hmm.
yeah, so fun. It's a family story too. I don't know if
Oh,
that's
awesome.
one part of the. I mentioned it a little bit in my pitch about like it's a family being torn apart and that sort of thing, but in the end, it's kind of like this brotherly type of like he's doing a lot of this to save the family essentially. So,
Gotcha.
which is always good to have that kind of visceral
storytelling.
motivation.
Yeah, yeah, motivation definitely, man.
Heck yeah. So yeah, dude, I can't wait to see how it turns out later on. I gotta hop off, but
That's fine, dude.
dude, you gonna keep streaming? I'll try to keep it on. That way, in the background, I can I keep watching.
Yeah, no, of course, dude. Yeah, you can go on ahead.
Yeah, I wish I could stay longer. That's just how it goes with the trying to spread my time. But yeah, the art's looking great. I appreciate you doing putting the extra time. You're gonna get the original soon, so
Yeah, man, I
stoked.
can't wait to get the original. I'll definitely post it on my Twitter or X, however it's going to be called nowadays.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So post on Twitter and X, and also tomorrow I do another stream. Every Wednesday I do the same thing where I draw some fan art on my channel, and then I give away the fan art at the end of the stream. So um, for anybody out there who wants some free art and just like wants to, you actually vote on whatever I draw in the beginning. So
That's pretty
it's cool
cool.
to pop in. It's a it's just my name, so Joe Catapano, um, and what's let's see, 6:30 Eastern. So yeah, that's it. But I'll thanks for coloring this, man.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. I'm having a blast. I cannot wait to dive even deeper. This is just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I'm sure, dude. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I'm gonna probably pop in, and if you're still streaming, I'll be looking. I'll lurk a little bit
All right, man.
while I have some dinner. All right, but yeah, peace out, guys. Thanks
Peace
for
out, Joe.
watching. Yep, bye.
Laters. All right, dudes. So I'm going to disappear, but you can have the pleasure of just seeing this just without my avatar in the way. But yeah, dudes. Wow, man, this I had a great time hanging out with Joe. I got to learn a new thing about him. Like at 20 years old, man, when he started drawing. Pretty cool stuff. And his, my gosh, dude, there is so much to digest for what the pitch that he just gave me for that book. It's fantastic, man. Hope you dudes in the chat, family, Dom. Yes, yes. I've funny enough that you brought it up. Um, I've actually watched Fast and Furious 10. um, it was interesting. I'll say that much. Last time I've watched Fast and Furious, I think it was like the seventh one. I believe I watched the seventh one. So essentially, I did not watch 8 or 9. So I just skipped to 10 and see like what crazy adventures our heroes are doing now. And I don't know. I guess since I'm hopping onto it and skipping like 2 or 3 movies to watch 10, like I don't know, man. I'm not used to the theme of what my what I perceived Fast and Furious to be, because now it's just so emotional for no apparent reason. Family and you know people that you thought that were dead in the movie, apparently they're not. They fake death. I just don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I was doing my best not to laugh when all the characters were just taking it themselves so seriously. Um, yeah, dude, I don't know. It was just too overly emotional. Like, listen, man. Like, I'm a sappy dude. Okay, I enjoy watching Seventh Heaven. Okay, it's like you cannot compare it to any. It's like I swear, if anyone compares, um, oh my god, I cannot believe I forgot this dude's name. The writer, um, Aaron Spelling. There you go. The writer, Aaron Spelling. Because Aaron Spelling is well known. I don't know whether he's a writer or he's just a good. He just produces great content and hires the right writers, just for you to hit the feels. Just have the right, just the right writers, just to like hit you in the right spots. Just give you a nice fuzzy feeling. If anyone ever says Aaron Spelling's content is the same as Hallmark, I will fight you, man. It's not the same. It essentially is not. There's just a rinse and repeat. How can I say? A purgatory of unoriginal stuff. It's like, okay, you're not happy, so you're essentially going to cheat on your significant other that you just ask for an engagement. Oh, he's a terrible person. He's so busy with his corporate job that essentially is the reason why you stayed with him in the first place. But I digress, man. I'm getting too knee deep. Oh my god, this looks great. Holy crap, dude. Wow. All right. You know, that's essentially highlights. Just put it on the shadow brush layer. Should be highlights, but it's all good. What else? There we go. Then essentially we'll just add some highlights. Turn everything off, including this. How are you dudes doing today? Well, I'm having my rant about Aaron Spelling and Snake. Yeah, it looks amazing. Thank you so much, Weather. Appreciate it, buddy. Let me see. What are Snake's eyes colors? Now that I'm looking at it, I'm guessing it's got to be blue, right? Looking at even concept art, and that doesn't even help out a lot. What color are his eyes? Okay, they're blue. It's good to know. And then, essentially, And essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another layer where no, better. I'm going to get this, make it all black, right? And then what I'm doing, guys, is kind of want to know, like, how does it look, essentially? You're going to see what I'm doing in a minute. There you go. So essentially, like, focal point, what I guys want, like, what I want you guys to focus is his face. And it looks, I mean, even in black and white, it just looks fantastic. Yeah, no, I'm pretty stoked so far. I mean, there's so much to do, and I just love coloring. I mean, I'm already getting so what is it? I'm just so invested in this. It's like, who knows, man? Joe might come by and lurk on the stream, which I would not blame him. I would do the same thing if I was invited to a colorist to do like a coloring / interview. Then bad boy colored. And what I kind of want to do now is like, I'm gonna do a clipping mask where his name is going to be highlighted in red, and then I want to, because I want to color the background, because his logo is red. We'll give him dark. Boom. Okay, and then just clip mask clip. Okay, then I'll put my signature. Put signature. You know, it's been a while since I just realized it's been a while since I've done my signature. So, oh my God. Jeez Louise clip. What a way to make me look awful in front of my viewers. Hey, no, I'm going to shrink it down. Just put a plus sign. then going ahead and go to color wheel really quick, right? We got Massive Panda in the house. Yo, what's going on, Ichthus? I'm so late to this stream. You're coloring the lead character from my all-time favorite game, Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1, was the best installment of the Metal Gear series. I will not disagree with you on that one, Massive. Yeah, no, I'm having a blast coloring this piece. Joe left, but you get to watch the replay once I get this done. But pretty much Joe was pretty happy of the progress so far. So I feel like I've accomplished my goal as a colorist is, people getting excited and seeing how, the magic happening. You see, I never played the first one, only the fourth one. Like this, you gave me the fourth Metal Gear Solid game. You want it back? So you're asking me if I want something, but I don't have a PS3 anymore, dude. I don't even have a game. My only entertainment now to playing a video game is my freaking Nintendo 64. So yeah, you can keep Metal Gear Solid 4, bro. And it also has like a tagline on a thing where it's not for resale, so you can't even sell it. I don't know what's stopping people from reselling it, but yeah, you can't resell it. Oh man. You are something else, Wither. All right, so essentially, we're gonna we create a scene where like it's basically the snow. Okay, we're gonna create the snow scene. Okay, and then I got that. Then I gotta get some dark blues, somewhat like dark blues. Then we're gonna do some experimenting, guys. Barely see what I'm trying to accomplish here. There you go. I dig it. I dig it. I feel like there's too much shadows going on over his eyebrow here. So let's go and make that fix. Getting too committed. There you go. Just doing some light tapping. Now I'm going to do some light touches here and here. So now I basically have like a good idea what's what. Basically found like the perfect brush. Oh, it's awesome. I get to see you guys just chatting with each other. Pretty awesome, man. How are you doing, Massive, by the way, dude? How's the comic book journey coming along, dude? I'll add some like highlights to the gun. Mm. Cool. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. See, man, it's been going slow. It's 10 Eastern time. I believe you're Eastern time too, right? Yeah, definitely massive. And I'm just now sitting down to work on the page for a little bit because of work and family stuff. Totally understand, man. I'm always running short on time, but I think that's the same for all of us artists. Yeah, dude. I agree with you, dude. But at least what's good is like at least you have something to do. Worst thing you could do is just be at home and then just do nothing. I think that's the part that I'm kind of like scared is like you're just home all day and just don't do anything. Like there's something in us that we have a yearning for, and we want to essentially want to fulfill it. You know, that's what I feel like every time I be coloring, especially doing these coloring streams. Man, I feel like I'm fulfilled. It's like especially just something like whenever you guys say like how cool it looks, it's like it means a lot. It honestly means a lot. Because I'm spending all this time, whether or not if even people even like this, and seeing how the cheese is being made, essentially. I really do enjoy it. Okay, some light taps. Sometimes I feel like I'm overdoing it. Whenever I'm coloring. Dude, I just realized I never did anything on this dude's bandana. Oh man, we're gonna change that real quick. True. Hey, I actually have to dip out for another second. Go figure, right? I'll leave the stream going and I'll be back if you're still streaming. Excellent looking piece so far. Thank you so much, Massive. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I'm essentially almost done. I just now gotta like essentially color this dude's bandana. Turn off the shadow brush and everything else. So I have a good, accurate color. Hmm. I actually like this other color better. It fits so well. Suits it. Oh God. What's happening? Oops. Didn't mean to do that at all. Oh, I think I know. Oh, I just realized what Joe meant. Hopefully, I got it right. Please, Joe. You can hear me from afar. Hopefully, I did it right. This one? Oh, hell yeah, it's this one. Okay, yeah. It makes so much sense. Wow. Holy crap. All right. Let's finish up this piece, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this, dude. I'm just so happy. I didn't think it would turn out this good. I'm just being dead honest with you guys. I'm just happy it turned out, and so far Joe likes it. Oh my god, dude. Woo. Oh my god. I'm so happy, dudes. Let me see. It's boring. I'll keep the purple just so that way it's kind of somewhat like a balance. think Joe was gonna be happy now. I was like, oh, he caught it. He caught it. Because I know as an like I have a mind of an artist, man. It's like once you catch something that somebody got that was not meant to be. I think we're good, dudes. What do you all think? Hey, because I went to your WeBait website. I don't know what WeBait is. Can I still buy your comics or nah? If not, will you sell your first comic with the second, like a bundle? You mean like the flock? Let me see. Actually, I know I have issue one. Should have issue two. I actually have issues 1 through 3. To be honest with you, dude. Um, just let me know if it's that comic with the the Gooseman, or is this just my personal comic? Because I haven't developed my comic yet, like my personal project. I'm outside with the dogs. All right, man. What's up, Dale A? Thanks for coming by the stream, dude. That looks good. Thanks so much, Dale. Yeah, I'm just finishing up, man. I'm officially done. So you came in the right time. You know what? No, I got to fix this. I got to make a. I got to make this dude's, was it cigarette to burn? Let me see. Linear light, right? Yeah. We're gonna fix that right now, guys. And then we'll be done. Am I doing this right? Whew. What was I gonna do? I was gonna Google cigarette. Let's see. All right, so basically, it's like a mix with red and orange. Okay, cool. Essentially, I got that. Dark red. Then dark. Oh my god, my eyes. So that backfired. Okay, and then a little bit of yellows. It's a small little thing. Can make such a big difference. And what can I do? Oh, okay. So you clicked on my link tree. Okay, yeah, the flock. Yeah, that one's Scott Wilson. He's the one that I'm doing the coloring work with. But yeah, that one, unfortunately you missed out on that one, but if I come across with Scott or talk to him, I think I'm gonna be talking to him this week actually, and see if once he makes any extra copies, just so yeah, if he's gonna make extra copies, he'll just give me a price and just I'll let you know. I'll let you know whether we'll keep in touch so I can help you out, buddy. So yeah, dudes, I'm essentially done with this piece. So let me just switch the camera around so you can see my freaking mug face, right? It's all about. Let's see. Thank you, dudes, so much for watching the stream. You guys ooze of excellence, and as always, dudes. And remember, guys, stay excellent. God bless.